The time has come for us to discuss a feature that people always say they wish they had, and actually they do, they just don't know about it. What they're trying to do is to reorder or sort information, and they think that the only way to do that is to cut and paste and otherwise get very creative. Actually, Word contains the ability to sort information, and we're going to start by sorting information in a table. This particular table for our You Got It marketing potential is not the best one. So let's go ahead and bring up our Find feature again. Now remember, we could go to the View tab and we could select to show the navigation pane, but pressing Control F is just as fast. We've been using this Find feature extensively throughout this particular chapter, but I wanted to remind you that Find is not the only part of the navigation panel. We actually also have the ability to use our thumbnails and the ability to browse by headings, and that's what we want to do. So let's select Browse the headings in our document. Because we have formatted things using styles, this gives us an effective way to be able to move back and forth between different areas of our document. We are specifically looking for the section on management structure. Now, we could certainly type that in, but I hate typing, so this is going to be easier because I can see it right here. We don't just want management and structure, though. We actually want management and personnel, which is the entry just below it. Let's go ahead and give that one a click. And that one takes us to the table in which we want to sort our information. Let's just say for our purposes that we want to sort all of these different job roles alphabetically. The first thing that we have to make sure we do is that we designate the very top row as a header row. Otherwise, the word position is going to be considered as part of the sort, and it will fall in place with President CEO. We know how to do this. We go to the Layout tab. We mark this as a header by saying Repeat Headers. Then all we have to do is simply select the column and use the Sort option, which is also in the Data group on the Layout tab. Here it simply needs to know what we want to sort by, and because we have designated the header row, it knows things like the position column, not just column A, column B, column C. We then need to tell it what kind of information it holds. The default is text, but we could say that it's numbers or dates because each of those are going to be sorted differently. So we want to sort the position column in ascending order using paragraphs. Now we say OK. Notice that our labels stay on top, but Client Relations Specialist comes before Contract Instructional Facilitators, before Contract Receptionist, and if we continue to scroll down, we'll see that President and CEO now comes at the bottom. President and CEO may not appreciate that, but at least we do now have an alphabetized list. I did want to point out, though, that content does not have to be in tables in order to sort. And this actually is nothing new. This has been around for almost forever in Word. We can use the same feature, though, to sort paragraphs of text in the body of the document, even though they're not in a table structure. Naturally, in this case, we won't have the option to choose columns by field names and those types of things, but it is really just as easy. Let's go ahead and use our navigation pane, and let's go down and find our Outside Services and Advisors. We'll give that a click. And here we have this list that we kind of started earlier in the chapter. Now, because we're no longer using it, but we want to get to work very quickly, let's go ahead and clean this up just a little bit. We'll do so by deleting a couple of these first rows, taking the text that still is there, accounting and payroll, all the way down to snow removal. Let's just turn that into a quick bulleted list. Notice that it still uses our default bullet point. And now we're going to use our sorting capabilities. Now hang on just a second though, because what we were just doing isn't that obvious anymore. We don't have any table tabs because we're not in a table. So how can we use the tool that we just did? Well, it's actually not exactly the same tool, but it works the same way. Once we're working with text that is not in a table format, we can go to the Home tab, and then we can choose the Sorting button, which is part of the Paragraph group. Little A to Z, we give that a click, and hopefully this looks vaguely familiar. Notice that we do not have the field or column designations, but we can just simply say, how do we want to sort? By paragraphs. Now, since there's only one column and there's no tabs or anything else, really paragraphs is our best choice. Again, we choose the type. Again, we choose whether it's ascending or descending, and then we simply say OK. Before we do that, though, notice that there are a couple of different things that we might want to do. For both of our sorting techniques, we can choose more than one field or more than one criteria by which to sort. Since we're doing paragraphs here, we don't have that option, but in our table, we could sort by up to 3 different columns. Also, let me move this out of the way just a little bit so we can see our data. It wants to know if our list in this case has a header row. It doesn't think we do, and actually we don't. So again, the defaults here are fine. I just wanted to point out a couple of these different tools that we had. We'll simply say OK, and we can now see that accounting and payroll does stay at the top, but now we have banking, sanitation and maintenance, landscape and snow removal, which used to be last, legal, followed by marketing. At this point, we'll also go ahead and take out that end of list marker since we now have made it a list. And we now have something in an easier order, and we didn't have to do a lot of cut and paste or copy and paste.